Hey everyone, this is Mike, and in our final lesson, we're going to take our Ionic 1 app that's written in TypeScript and convert it over to an Ionic 2 app. First, we're going to grab the latest beta CLI for Ionic, which adds all the necessary build steps for creating an Ionic 2 app. We'll come over to our terminal and run npm install -g Ionic at beta. Now, depending on how you have npm set up, you may need to run this command with sudo in front of npm install and enter in your computer's password. Now from here, we'll cd into our Ionic TypeScript example, and then we'll open this up inside of our editor. From here, we'll head back to our CLI and we'll open up a new tab and head back to the same directory. And then we can start a new project running Ionic start v2 tabs. And we're going to use the tabs template and pass it the v2 flag to tell the CLI we want a v2 version of the project. And we'll use the ts flag to tell the CLI that we want to use TypeScript. We'll cd into our project, and then we'll open this up inside of our editor. Back in our terminal, we'll start our server like we always do, running Ionic serve. And we can see that we have a familiar project with a tab bar at the bottom, 3 separate tabs, all with icons and a navigation bar with a title. Now, I'm not going to go over how to convert the entire project, but what we're going to do is create a class to load all of our data, and then we're going to display that data and be able to view a detail page about each object in our array. Now, inside of our editor, we're going to look inside of our app directory, and we're going to create a new folder. We're just going to call this services. And inside of there, we'll create a new file, which we're just going to call chats.ts. Now, inside of our chats.ts file, we're going to create a class, and we're just going to call this chats. And we can go over to our first project that we had, look at our services, and we can actually copy most of our constructor function and all the methods that we have. Now, the last thing that we need to do is we need to come up to the top of our file, and we need to tell Angular that we want this class to be injected into our app. So we're going to write import, and we're going to import from Angular 2, and we're just going to pull in from core. And what we're going to import is called injectable. So let's annotate our chat service with @injectable, and we can finish this off. Now that our code knows it needs to be injected, let's open up our app.ts and import that service that we just created. Now, we need to tell our app decorator that we're going to have a service available to us. So we're going to add a providers property, and this is going to be an array of classes. So we'll just add chats. Now that we have chats set up inside of our app decorator, let's open up page1.ts. Now inside here, we're going to import that same chat service, and we'll come down to our constructor and inject a new public chats. And this is going to be the chats that we just imported. And then we can create a new property called messages, and it's going to equal this.chats.all. Now to see the results of this request, we will open up our page1.html, and we're just going to get rid of some of this And we're going to create a list. And inside of this list, we're going to have an ion item. And we're going to use Angular 2's new ng4. And we're going to say for each message of the messages array that we have on our class. And we can just say message.name, and we'll save, go back to our browser, and we'll have all the data loaded. Now, to see the detail page of each one of these objects, we'll come over to our page and we'll create a click handler using Angular's new event syntax. And we're going to call push page. And we're just going to pass in the message variable that we've declared here to say when we push the page, we want to pass along this entire object. Now we're going to head back to our page1.ts file and we're going to import nav controller, and we'll come down to our constructor, create a new public variable, and then we'll create a new method on our class called pushPage. It's going to take the message that we've passed along, and we're just going to call this .nav.push, and we're going to push a detail page that we haven't created yet. Now, along with pushing the detail page, we can pass along some parameters telling the detail page what kind of information it should have. So we're going to pass it an object, and this object's going to have a property of message on it, and its value is going to be set to the message variable that we are passing in here. Now, to finish this up, we're going to come up to the top of our file again. We're going to import a detail class from our detail and detail page. I'm going to open up my sidebar and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it detail. And inside there, I'm going to create a new file called detail.ts and detail.html. So we'll start off in the detail.ts file, and I'm just going to copy all of this over, and I'm just going to update this to reflect the details page. And I'm going to import nav params and create a new public variable. Then we're going to come down inside of our constructor, create a new property called this.detail, and this is going to equal this.params, and we're going to get the property of message. I'll make sure I update the class name to detail, save this, and then I'll go over to detail.html, and I'm going to create an ion navbar, and this is just going to point to a local reference of navbar inside of our global app, and this is going to have an ion title whose value is going to be detail.name, and then we can come down here and write an ion content, and inside of this I'm just going to create a pre-tag and pass in the detail and then pipe it over to the JSON formatter, and then we'll go over to our browser and we should be able to navigate around, load the data inside of our content for this specific user, and then be able to navigate back and have that data update every single time we go to a new page.